welcome to the Daytime Emmy specials here on JLJ Media. I'm your host, James Lott Jr., and I've interviewed him before because I want to tell you, the last time he was on my show, I said he was going to win the Emmy. And I happened to be there that year, and he won the Emmy for lead actor in daytime drama, one of four, count them, four men of color to win that. So, I don't know, maybe he'll win again. I don't know. He had a good storyline and stuff. But I'm happy to bring on here a nominee for lead actor in a daytime drama from Days of Our Lives, my friend James Reynolds. Hi, James.
Well, thank you, James. Thank you so much. And this time you said maybe. So now I don't know whether to buy a ticket or not.
So now I'm scared. And I'm saying, if I say it again, I'm like, oh my goodness, am I right? I don't know. I mean, but here's the thing. Again, I can talk to you about last time a little bit because congratulations. I was there. We were there. Congratulations, and I loved your speech.
Thank you.
That you honored Darnell Williams, A. Martinez, Al Freeman Jr. I mean, people that all amazing. I know him. I know him. So I don't know the other, but I know A. But they're all amazing actors.
Yes, they are.
And so, I mean, it really was a special moment. I mean, it felt like the whole room was really happy for you. Did you?
It did seem that way, and I couldn't have been more happy about that myself. It was, everyone. If you're fortunate in life, and I've been very fortunate in mine, once in a while you run into a moment that sort of fortifies what you've felt all the years that you've been doing whatever you've been doing. If you're lucky like us, you're doing what you want to do in life. And that was a very emotional, kind of overwhelming day and moment.
Yeah, and I, as a person of color, and I say I've known you off and on now for about 7 years. I've interviewed you over the years. I said again, watching, and even my brother were like saying, we've watched him on television growing up, and he got the highest honor that we give our daytime people. Like, it's just, we don't see it. We just don't see it enough. And I know this year, which we'll get into, but this year we have Michelle Morgan from Young and the Restless in the lead category, and only one other woman of color, another Morgan, Debbie Morgan, has been at position. It's like, we don't see it enough. It's like, we just don't see it enough. So your win was like a win for us. Do you get that part too?
Well,
you get it?
No, I understand that. I very well understand that. And I hope that my speech reflected that and the appreciation for that in that moment and that recognition. And, it was quite important. I look through the categories when the nominations come out just to see, what people of color are nominated. And, well, I look for a lot of reasons, but that's certainly one of them. And, the nomination process is where everything has to begin. And even though there's a much larger presence of people of color than ever in the many years that I've been on television, and that's great. That's wonderful, and better story. Not nearly as many back burner stories and superfluous characters. And let me get a cup of coffee for you and sit down and tell me about your life. Forget the fact that I have one. There's a lot more of that, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I think the writers, starting with Ron, who's been very very good with our show, and writing and giving stories of relevance. That story was highly relevant that I won the Emmy for last year.
Oh yes.
And this year the submission had more to do with Abe and his personal history, which I also think is progress. I think that's tremendous progress. It didn't have to be necessarily about an issue or specific. It was about a soap character. It was about a person and a person's life and love. That, I don't know when that's happened.
Not with a black character. No,
not with black characters. It just simply doesn't. It happens with all the other characters, but not with black characters. And so I'm always highly cognizant of the responsibility I have, that I represent a large number of people, and represent represent a philosophy that we don't see very often on television.
Yeah, and you just bring up all the melanin we're seeing. I'm telling you,
yes,
all 4 soaps have Black folks on them, and they're in
Yes.
story. And I was saying this the other day about Days of Our Lives and General Hospital especially, and it seems like a small thing, but it isn't. But I'm seeing scenes where it's all just Black folks,
Yes.
and they're in
Yes.
story, and they're in
Yes.
story. James, you
Yes.
guys are on screen in your own story.
Yes. And the stories are natural and they're real, and they're just human. They're human stories, you know. And what's great, and once again to give Ron credit, is that they're not. And I think this is true. I hope this is true of the other shows. They're not forgetting about life outside, beyond the show. So as we play a more of a natural historical type of story, at the same time, real life comes in. And this is how that particular story would affect people of color. It's not just the story it is, it's how that story would affect people of color. You know, if Cinderella were Black and lost her shoe, she probably would have been stopped by the guards before she got in the coach. Is this your coach, miss? Is this your coach, ma'am? Let me, you know.
Seriously.
So, but that's reflected now.
Yeah.
That would be reflected now in the story. It wouldn't just be about the prince and Cinderella. It would be about the fact that Cinderella was held up in her escape,
right.
you know, whatever, because she was a person of color. And I think that's very, very important, and very important.
Yes.
In an international way, let alone just in our worlds of television.
I'm glad you said it, because these shows, folks, they do go out internationally. We have fans
Yes.
all over the world.
Right. And these issues are international.
And they're international. They are.
Yes.
And I like what you said, like, we're seeing things that are natural, that they're natural and sometimes specific.
Exactly.
I also like sometimes the vernacular we use. I like the hairstyles. I like that we're seeing a wide range, because a lot of times media portrays one thing,
you're right,
one type of thing, and that's it. Especially on Days, we're seeing there's like there's so many guys running around. I love it. It's like, I mean, but everybody looks different shades and hues and sizes and shapes, and I think it's so realistic.
Yeah, well, that's the nature of Black families. You know, one of the very few criticisms at the time of the Cosby Show was the different hues of the cast. You know, I'm sure you're the same. Well, you come from Louisiana. You absolutely have people that are probably as white as Joe Biden, and I do too in my family. And you know, people that are, you know, what they used to call purple black.
Yes, as dark as the night. Yes,
exactly.
Yes, exactly. Oh yes. Oh yeah.
And that's, you know, that's the history of being African American, because it is a broad history that is intertwined with American history, and that's very important for people to understand and realize that Black folks and white folks and everybody else.
Also, the thing about Abe is also universal. He's a character that everyone can look to. He's an everyman. He is someone who wants the right thing done if he can at all times. He's also fallible, and there's things that happen there. But I also like the fact that Ron is giving you story that's just regular soap story. So now your daughter isn't your daughter, but she is your daughter, but you love her. Like, it's like, if they were to give it to anybody else, it's like, we want the specific stuff, but you also want the regular treatment, don't we?
Exactly. Well, you know, exactly right. You know, you want the human treatment. You want people. We all experience things literally in the same way. Literally in the same way. We lose somebody that's close to us, we're sad and we cry. If we have a moment that's wonderful, we're happy and we laugh. Everybody in the entire world does that. And you know, we all grow up we all do grow up in kind of a bubble, whatever that family is that we grow up, whatever that community is, the city or the town or the village or whatever. And it's a bubble. And we're affected by that bubble. And that bubble doesn't like to let other things in. That bubble is very, very reticent to let any other kind of influence or anything of that sort in. But it's a big world. And there are a lot of good things out there. And so for us to stop looking at the negative differences and start looking at the commonalities and the positive differences while maintaining the aspects of your culture that enrich you and the world. That is, to me, where we're moving to. And I think you kind of see that on daytime these days. Don't forget, all of us in days, and I suspect it's the same on other shows, are kind of related. And so everybody, I mean, blood related. Right. So everybody. So it's kind of America in that sense, in that way.
No, I agree with you completely. I'm like I live in Inglewood, California. So folks in Inglewood, that's where the new stadium is and everything. Things are changing here.
Oh, Inglewood's on is poised for a boom.
Yes. And so, but my thing is always like, we have like you said, we have a lot of sameness when it comes to, like I said, we all want 5 things. We all want good food, relationships, love, good sex. There's things we want, right? Good jobs. There's things we all want. That's the same, no matter what. Like you said, and when someone dies, we all are sad. Now, how we celebrate may be different, but the initial thought is we're sad. That's the sameness part.
Yeah.
But also, I want Inglewood to keep some of its culture. So I'm always going to town hall meetings. I'm always like trying to be involved. I know the Mayor Butts, and I'm like try to keep things like, let's make sure we still keep pieces of this. I want the growth. Yes. Daytime, we want the growth. We want the story. But let's not also just forget what color they are at the same time. Like we want it. It doesn't have to be the focal point of everything we do on daytime, but like, let's just still acknowledge.
Don't forget their culture.
Hairstyle. It could be the way we say something, or it could be the way a child relates to their parent, because Black parents are different than these kind of, like, there's certain things that we do, you know what I'm talking about, that we just do that I'm glad it's being reflected. Like, and right now it's being reflected on Days and on GH and on YNR. So it's being reflected. You guys are, you're kind of, it's not necessarily separate, but it's like, you're part of it, but we'll throw these little things in that kind of remind you. So the audience who's watching is African American goes, yes, I relate to that. Like
they relate to it. And I think most audiences do today. I think that African American culture is such a large part of the American culture that you can't get away from it. Now, a lot of people don't want to accept that.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that it's a big part of our for instance, our artistic culture. And it's a big part of other aspects of life, literature and sports and humor, all sorts of aspects of the larger culture. But that specific part, the African American culture, has been such a great contributor to what makes us who we are as a nation. The closest thing you can possibly get, and this doesn't disparage any other type of music, but to American music it always has African American roots. Whatever that may be, if it's jazz, blues, country, rock, hip hop, country, all of those have African roots in the African American community. And as we go on now, why we're experiencing, I know exactly why we're experiencing a time where people are rushing to deny this and try to stop this from happening. But if anybody deals honestly with history and who we are and what we're about and where we are, then you can't deny these contributions. You just can't do it. You can try as much as you want, but it's too ingrained in what you do, in what we do in this country, no matter where you stand politically. And so it's important. It's very important that we always bring whatever that sensibility might be. And that doesn't deny anything else.
No,
I didn't grow up in an urban area. So I sometimes, I don't want Black people to forget that the way I grew up is the way most Black people grew up before 1950, in a rural community, working on farms, animals, from dawn till dusk, doing all the things that people do. We cannot forget that's our heritage. And sometimes, to be honest, I'm fearful of that.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
I think we've so rooted into urban lifestyle in the 20th century and now in the 21st century that we tend to we would like to remember history, but we don't tend to want to bring in that real history. You know, being country, as they might say,
Yes.
as people might say,
Yeah.
is disparaging, and I think that's wrong. There's nothing wrong with being country. I'm country. I'm
I'm
proud
country.
of being country.
I come
I'm
from country
proud of
folk.
being country.
I come from country
But, you
folk.
know,
I do. I love it.
yeah, exactly. And so there's a lot to address. There's a lot to look at. There's a lot to accept or deny, and that all those things are important to me, and I hope they become important to other people as well.
Yeah, my stepdad's from South Carolina, Rock Hill, South Carolina, and
Yeah.
He said he was like, I had to work on the farm before I went to school every morning. It was
Yep.
like a few hours on the farm, and then go to school. Like
Then go to school.
Do all that. And
Yeah.
my grandmother from Louisiana, well, they're on a farm also, and I got my gardening from her. Which
Yeah.
I have a garden in my big yard. I fell in love with it because she showed me growing up that growing your own fruits and vegetables can be fun. And also economic, because we weren't rich.
Yes.
But also be economical. And
Yeah.
and during the pandemic, that year we were all in lockdown in LA, I was growing stuff and I was like, thank you. I got jam, I got this, and I'm making tomatoes.
Yeah.
Had a good time. Not having to go to the store. So
and that's a part of our culture and history that should simply I see it being eroded, and it saddens me. And I just don't feel. Although, on the other hand, as in Inglewood, you have the folks that have formed a group that is very involved with horses and the history of black cowboys and that sort of thing. And so there is a rediscovery happening at the same time that sometimes I opine in a sad way that we've lost that aspect of our culture.
I was gonna say that, yeah, because I'm an equine person, so I've always been I ride horses and everything. And actually, many of the actors I've interviewed, we find out, oh, you're a horse person too. You're a horse person too, and a lot of my younger black friends that had no idea. I'm like, there were black cowboys.
Yes,
there were black rodeos. In Compton is a famous black rodeos. But I'm like, you guys don't understand that we come from that too.
Yeah,
we come from that too.
Exactly, we come from that too. I do a show. I've done a show for years called I Too Am America. That is a show about Black history. It doesn't necessarily deal with really well-known people, and most of it talks about Black history in pre-World War II terms. Slavery, and probably up into including World War II. Okay. And there's a reason why I do that, because I've always feared it's going to be forgotten, and sometimes, sadly, that fear is borne out because Black folks don't know it. And so when people criticize, say, well, white folks don't know our history and our culture. Well, neither do Black people. And that's an unfortunate thing, because they see it, and this is the way human beings are. Yeah. You see it in terms of what's happening right now. I've talked to people who think Vietnam happened in 1803. Right. The thing is, people, and it's natural. It's natural, and I understand that. And when I talk to younger people about something, might be an old TV show or something, they say, I know you don't remember this, but this is what happened when this happened. And they're always a little surprised, and those who are a little bit more curious might research it a bit. But that's and it's not, and this is not a problem. It's only an issue. But I think in our community, in the Black community, as in all communities, we have to make an effort to make sure people are aware of life before. I think it was Kanye West, one of his less lucid moments, who said, I would not allow myself to be a slave. I wouldn't go for that. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, in a great way. Yes, you would, Kanye. Right. Yes, you got, you have to invest yourself in what might be the feelings of that time. Those people were heroic. They were strong. They had fortitude. They survived. Millions of people survived a voyage that killed half of them and would have killed most people. And I have stories from my family. I don't think, I'm not sure I would have survived slavery.
Same here.
I don't.
I got soft hands.
Yeah.
Soft hands.
Well,
I don't know. I have seriously. I'm like, I have no idea if I could do it. I'm like,
yes,
that's serious time.
And my older folks, my grandparents were, of course, children of slaves.
Yeah.
And so they came from that. They had that mentality. They had that old timey, what we call old timey mentality.
Yes.
And so a lot of the ways I was raised with probably the ways that I would have been raised as I was a slave. But we've got to hold those people up as heroes.
I agree.
We can't diminish one single aspect of being a slave. Yeah. It is sad and it is unfortunate, but we have to hold those people up as heroes.
I agree.
And now that many of us are able to live lives that those people would have cut off a foot for.
Oh, I know.
It's even more important, I think, that we understand that we are the beneficiary of their courage and their resoluteness. And I'm a little passionate about this, but trust
you. My fans know I'm the same way. I always tell my younger in this business, we all end up mentoring people in this business, and I do too now. I realize I'm one of the elder statesmen apparently these days.
It happens.
I was a young ingenue one day, and now I'm still
it happens.
That whole joke. But I tell the younger Black actors, hosts, people I work with, I go, you have to do this. Like, if you're in love with this, it's what you want to do, then you have to keep going forward. You have to keep moving. You have to keep getting back up, because we can't afford you not to. And I always say our ancestors are watching. They went through stuff so we didn't. I said, my grandmother cleaned houses for rich people, raising 5 boys. I mean, like, that's crazy talk. And her boys were always getting in trouble. My father didn't say they were always getting in trouble. But all her sons went to college. And now her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, I went to college. And we all, one of those things was like.
That's true. Excuse me.
No problem. So I was saying we have to honor them in some way, that if you have a voice, it's up to you. It behooves you to use it then. If you have some creative outlet, you have to do it. Your voice is needed. Your art is needed. It's needed.
Yes.
I always say that.
Yes, you're right. Your voice is needed. Pardon me.
Got all choked up, folks. Got
me all choked up.
Yeah.
No, I've been coughing these days, which is not good. But I don't have COVID, so that's
okay. Good. Very good.
Yeah. No, what you say is so important, and I want people to understand and realize that. And as we get into these times, only slightly, it's still within the realm of what we're talking about. But when it's a disservice and a purposeful disservice in trying to diminish the importance of what we do for this country is the criticism of so many things, like critical race theory, which doesn't really exist in schools at all. It doesn't. But we all get drawn into these false narratives.
Yes.
And so it puts us all on the defensive about these false narratives. Yes. It doesn't exist. Sorry to burst everybody's bubble. Critical race theory is not real. Mickey Mouse isn't real. I don't know if anybody knew that.
Yeah, I know, but
he doesn't talk or sing or dance.
Don't tell Disney Plus. They like it.
But thank goodness for what Disney's doing right now. So
you're right, exactly. But I want to actually now tie it into Abe, because you got your own standalone episode, which again we just got to earlier. Very few folks, period, get it, no matter what race they are. Very few folks get it. Usually, number 1, number 2 on the call sheet has been around for a long time.
Yes.
They may get one. I mean, not guaranteed they'll get one either.
No.
Seriously, not guaranteed that they'll get a standalone episode. I was watching Nancy Lee Grahn got one last year from General Hospital for her time on the show. I just few people get it. A Victor Newman may get one, or Peter Bergman got one. I guess it's not very common. So when I heard you were getting yours, I just thought, wow, that just shows that Corday Productions. I know Ken. I love Ken. Hi, Ken.
Love Ken. Yes.
Corday Productions, Ron County. They all value the character. They also follow you too as James Reynolds, but I feel like they also are valuing this character that's been on the canvas for 40 years that we all know. Everybody knows who you are. They know, even if they don't watch Days of Our Lives, that guy with the mustache, yeah, we know him. You know, they know who you are. So I want to ask the first question I was going to ask you with that is, when you found out, when did you find out you were getting a standalone episode? How did it happen?
I found out actually not that long before we shot it. I think maybe 5 or 6 weeks before we shot it. That Albert came up to me and told me that what we were doing, and and Albert's been wonderful and very supportive. And you mentioned Ken, who has just been a tremendous champion. And with Ron on the show, this is one of the best times for Abe. And one of the best times for James and on days. And you're right about the standalone episode. I was I didn't show this on set, but I was pretty overcome with emotion when I heard it.
Yeah.
And I called my wife and said, "Guess what?" It really was something that just doesn't happen. I don't think any other actor of color has ever received that. I can't wait for the day when we stop saying that.
Yes.
But I don't think that's happened. And so I was really honored, tremendously honored, and am today, and very proud of that moment in the way that pride should mean, in that everybody who has helped and along the way. And it's one of the few times I've actually told people about things. I tend not to, which is my own problem, but I tend not to.
You did. I saw you.
This is going
I saw
on.
you promote it. I was like, James doesn't do this normally. You don't use like this.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. No, you don't.
No, I don't do it very often. I should, but I don't.
Yeah.
And but I just felt such an honor from that, and in a personal way, and proud. And I hope other people felt some semblance of pride in it as well. It was a good moment, and it actually were scenes from that I submitted for the Emmy this year, and was very happy to do that. It was very interesting to do it as well.
Well, I want to ask you about that too, because number one. Well, quick question number one: did Lisa and Jed watch it?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, they both watch it. Excuse me. I feel like I have COVID, but I don't have it. My son was telling me, he said, "Dad, I don't watch the show that much, but I just had to watch that one." And I thought, well, thank you very much.
I was curious. Yeah.
I was very appreciative of that. And of course, Lisa watches. She catches up with it. We tape all the shows. Okay. We don't watch them all at the moment, but. We tape them, then we go down the list. Like maybe we won't do it today, but on a Sunday afternoon, we'll go down the list and we'll watch 5 or 6 shows. And
so they go back in time. Okay, we all had a little froze and everything.
Oh, yes.
When you saw some of those scenes, I mean, did you laugh? You that? There's young James. There
he is. There he is. Yeah. No, it's always interesting to look back at you. When you do this business, that's. You're kind of always judging yourself at different stages of your life and looking at yourself at different stages of your life. And it's kind of nice to have a record of at least how you looked, and in an actor's case, and how maybe you performed a scene, how you've changed. Your style changes. I'm a much different actor now than I was then, but there were times I kind of liked what I did. There were times it was stuff I liked. No one's more critical of you than you.
Yes,
and I certainly fall into that category. But we were talking about it the other day, Eric Martzoff. We had several of us, Ari and Marcy and Stacy and Eric and I, Lindsay. Yeah, we were doing it, for the Emmys, and we had both talked about. Eric won Best Supporting Actor a few years ago, as well, and we were talking about. The question was asked, do we watch ourselves on TV? And some people said no, they don't like it, they hate it. But I kind of think, and Eric and I kind of agreed on this, and some others. I look at it as watching game tape, and so I want to know, does this play work?
Yes, right.
if I go to the left side, the weak side of the court, am I going to get the ball in the corner? That kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'll go, oh, that was a good question, James. Okay, I'll make sure I remember that again. No, you're seriously,
exactly.
you do this, so I go, oh, or maybe I should have worn that color. Okay, maybe I should wear a different color next time. Like there's some good criticism of yourself you can do by watching yourself. You can go, oh yeah, you weren't really on today. You're okay, James. You weren't really on. Okay,
which is positive criticism, actually. It's really positive criticism when you can do that. You think, well, I should have done that. I should have done this. It's not necessarily that what you did was bad, but if I had done this, so it becomes positive criticism. It's not something you say, oh God, I was horrible. Although that's happened too.
Well, I know a few things. I'm like, oh, like what?
What was I thinking? What was that all about? All that goes on, but it's good, and that we live in this era of great technology where we can do that. Yeah. What's the point of having all this wonderful technology and other professions figure out how can I use this to my advantage? How's this going to work for me? And I think as more and more actors, say born after 1980, come into the picture, you'll see more and more utilization of the technology and to their work and what they do and how they do it. Right now, I just use it as a critical tool, and hopefully that helps me going forward.
Yeah. Also, one of the things about the episode that, of course, I think actually really landed on you. Obviously, Renee Jones didn't come back. She's in retirement.
Yes. We all wish that, by the way.
Oh, I know. Oh my God! But we would have loved. I would have cried like a baby if she came on. Seriously, we all wanted, but we knew she wasn't back. They had a stand-in and everything. So much of the episode was you reacting.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, and we did a nomination show. My co-host, I did a nomination show, and we were like, "This again." It says this is in praise for you. We said it this way, James. I said, when they give James material, he can act. Like, and they all agreed. They're like, yes. They all agreed. When we said your name in the nomination, they were like, yes. They were all just kind of like, not even just for that standalone episode, but also for the work you've been doing recently with Paulina and Lonnie. But we're just saying, man can act. That black man, you give the right words to the page, he shows up. Like you know what, CJ, because your character, and I think we talked this once before. Your character is such the safe character. Like he's always a safe harbor. He's always on. And you're good in everything you do. But then every so often they give you a meaty story. And I was like, wow. They're like, oh, like where did I like?
Where's this guy been?
Yeah, but you always have been there. And so that's the thing. I felt like when they give you these meaty stories, James Reynolds really does show everybody, this is why I have longevity. This is why I'm here. And I love my job. That's what it felt like when you were doing those scenes in the standalone.
Oh, well, that's awfully nice. Yeah. It's good. It's always good to have great, wonderful scenes. And I think one of the wonderful things about daytime is that you get such a variety. Sometimes you're dealing with great humor. Obviously with Jackie on the
my
show,
God, yes.
We have a lot more humor than we had before, but at other times it's really, really in-depth drama with a lot of heart and a lot of feeling, and it's important that you be able to do all those things and embrace all those things. That's why you became an actor. You want to make people laugh. You want to make people cry. You wanted to interpret the script in a way that the writer hopefully is proud of what you did with their work, and it works in the ensemble. I mean, we are in daytime television, the definition of ensemble, and everybody has their moments on the front burner, and everybody has their moments on the back burner. But in all those, you're still part of that ensemble, and you have to bring it forward. Years ago, and a lot of actors of my generation, maybe this is still going on, I don't know, but you would do summer rep. Yes. Where you do 3, 4, maybe even 5 shows in rep. It means they're alternating shows. So you might be doing, I'm just going to throw out Shakespeare names because it's convenient. But let's say you're doing Hamlet, and then the next day you might be a guard in something else, Henry, one of the Henrys.
Or something. You're doing Macbeth one day.
Hamlet exactly. But you're doing different roles in those days. So in one show, you may have 5 lines. In the other show, you may be Hamlet. You may have the most lines in human history. You just have, and it's great it's great work and great training when you do rep. I advise all young actors to do rep if they can, to go to summer theater where you have to work in a variety of roles in a variety of plays. And so in many ways, that's what happens on daytime, except when we're running with the lead in a story, you really are the focal because it's television and everybody sees you right here. And when you're not, you're still there. But and everybody understands the importance of your being there as a character.
Yeah.
But you're not necessarily leading the story. And it's important that as an actor that you can embrace all those moments and make them work. Yes. And that's a very important thing to do. And I'm very appreciative of having that opportunity of walking in and doing that kind of thing. We've got some stuff coming up that, kind of mixes a little humor and a little drama in the dramedies, which are very popular these days.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
But we've been doing it for years.
Yeah, that's had these are lives have. That's one of the things.
Yes.
Have.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny you said I interviewed an actor, David Loutman, who's on General Hospital right now. And he was saying how he crafted his stuff was he applied for every single play in his high school. Yeah. He goes, he was like you said, I played a tree once in one role, I was the lead in the next. I played a janitor in this one. He goes, for him, it was just he wanted the what do you call it? He wanted the experience to and I did it at Buzz TV. I was a host for 7 years there. I did every show I could get my hands on, basically, to Absolutely. Learn the craft and work out the kinks, so to speak. Yep. And so when you say that, I agree with that also. It's almost like that whole cross-training in a company. You cross-train, learn everything in a company. So
everything. I went to a very small college that's a very small theater department. But the advantage of doing that as going to a larger school or something was that I learned to hang lights. I learned to run the board. I learned to do sound. I learned to do makeup. I learned, all these things. The second play I ever did in my life, I directed myself because I wanted to do a play, and nobody was letting me in a play. So I'll produce and direct this play myself. I had no idea what I was doing, but you know what? The second play that I directed and produced, I had a pretty good idea what I was doing, and so some of that is just overcoming that fear of failure. You got to do something first. You have to do it the first time. Everything has to be done the first time, and very, very few of us are smart enough or talented enough or wise enough to do it right the first time. And so the idea is that you can do it right the 10th time. That's the idea. And believe me, there are people who are doing it the 100th time that aren't doing it right, and and maybe aren't even making the effort to do it right, but you are prepared, you're ready because you've done all these things before. So I when I speak to groups of students, I tell them, never ever be afraid of making a mistake or failing for the moment, because that means that you will eventually just succeed in whatever you were trying to do. Down the road, you'll do it right, and that's really important. That there's growth. That there's always growth.
I agree. And how's the theater? That's a nice little segue. That's about theater.
That's all right. The theater's going well.
I do this.
Well, the theater's going well, and that's important too. Yes. I'm a big theater advocate. I think every actor should.
I agree.
There are two things I think that nobody's ever taught that I think should be. Well, maybe more than two, but one of those is that actors should do something other than act early in their careers. They, and granted, you have to pay the rent, so people are going to end up waiting tables or doing whatever they're doing, but they should. And maybe completely away. Most people are waiting tables are also auditioning and doing all that stuff, but maybe early in life, and I don't think you do this at 25, but maybe at 18, 19, or 20, you just go off and do something, work in an oil field, do something.
I agree.
I'm reading something about oil fields right now. That's why that came to mind.
Chevron.
Yeah, it just didn't come to my head. I never worked in an oil field in my life, but
I know what you mean.
Yes, but do something that's a little bit different, and so you know what life is about. You know what life is about, and as I said, we all grew up in our bubbles. Yeah. And so we need to escape those bubbles and learn what life is about. And the other is, I think, invest yourself in some time in the theater. Don't do one play, do 4, 5, 6 plays. And at some point, you don't have to do them all in a row. You don't have to do them over 10 years, or, however you have to do it. But it's just a really, it's what actors should do. It's like the beginning. It's what you should do. And one of the things I hate, because I am advanced in years and have been doing this for a long time, but I've hated it forever. Yeah. So it's not a new hate. Yes. When people talk about daytime being a training ground, God, I can name the people on our show who have worked for years. And I've had nighttime shows. I've had 2 nighttime shows.
I know. Yeah, you've done that.
Many other people in movies. Not that that's any
right.
Nothing's any better than the daytime shows either.
Right.
I remember talking to, I think it was an agent. I said, why should I do, not my current agent, this is somebody else. Why should I do bad nighttime when I can do good daytime? And then I'll be out of work in 13 weeks. And I've had offers that I would have been out of work for 13 weeks. And I said, yes. Yeah, because they weren't all that good. And, it's the same thing. We are all professionals. People on that crew are professionals. They've been doing these jobs for 10, 20, 30 years. They've been lighting. They've been doing sounds, running camera. There's nothing that is amateurish or less than stellar about daytime productions. Not one single thing.
I totally agree. And I think,
imagine writing 200 shows a year. If you're a writer on daytime, imagine writing over 200 shows a year. It's astounding.
It's astounding.
You can't diminish that talent.
No, I always say that stop treating it as a stepping stone. That's how, like you said, when you say it's
yes.
a training ground, it's a stepping stone. No, there are folks who've had Susan Lucci, people like that, who've had very successful careers. Eric Braeden says he loves it. He's done other things.
Absolutely.
He told me he loves it. He's like, I will continue to do this until I can't do it anymore. Like,
absolutely. I'll be honest with you. I could be doing a nighttime show right now, but it's this is home now. There was a time I probably maybe it would have jumped. And I'm not diminishing that either. There's absolutely, there's shows I see all the time. Oh God, I wish I was on that show.
But
all the time. But I'm not.
Are the few things that have been around for a decade.
Right.
That's one of the few things you have. And you've been around for decades, where some shows, good 5 seasons.
Well, if you get good 5, 6 seasons on a nighttime show, you're good. You're fine. But the other 26 weeks of the year, you got to do something too.
Exactly.
And, as I say, we just have to put our ambitions into perspective. And it's easier as you've been doing things for a while. It's easier to do that if you've had some success and you've been able to, that's easier. Come on, if I'm 23 years old and I've had a good 3-year run on a daytime show and I've been a hot character, absolutely. Just take your shot. Do whatever you want to do.
Why not? You're
23. What the hell?
Yeah. That's why I say.
So everything is nuanced.
There's a girl, I should say a young woman. Oh my God, Sydney Michaela. She's nominated for an Emmy also this year from General Hospital. Huh. But she left the show to go to college.
Oh, good for her.
College, UCLA. People were getting mad. And because she's a Black character that everybody loves, a young woman. I said, let the girl go to college. Let the girl get an education. The soap world will probably be here in 4 years, 5 years. Yeah. Like, let the girl get an education. People were getting mad.
Did anybody criticize Jodie Foster for going to college? I mean, it happens all the time.
All the time. Brooke Shields, all them.
They
said none of them. I was like, let the girl get an education. Yeah. I'm like, but come on. It's like, I get it. It's like, I know she's a popular character and you love her. I totally get that. But I completely support her doing, like you said, doing something else.
Exactly. No, doing something else. And it's important. And I don't know whether she's going to come back and be an actress or she's going to college to be a better actress. I have no idea or just to be a better human being. I don't know which of those are in play. Right. But it's not going to hurt her.
No, not at all.
There's no harm done.
They said you're young. When they're young,
it's only good.
When you're young, you do anything when you're young. I mean, The rest of us, James, I'm like, I'm still into what I'm doing. I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. I'm here now for a while.
Well, you know, I have a very good friend, a well-known actress, and I'm only not saying her name because I'm not saying her name. But if I say it, you know who she is. But she works as much or more than any actor I've known, and she's had 5 or 6 different very popular series. She went to law school in her 50s because she wanted to go to law school.
Good for her. Like,
you know, took herself basically off the table for a couple of years. She actually worked while she was in law school, but that first year's people who go to law school know it's really tough. Yeah. She picked it up right where she left off. But you know, it was a plus to her that she did that. It shows where she is, her character is. Yeah. And I think that's admirable.
I do too. So the Emmys are going to be in person again this year.
Yes, which is very nice.
I know. I'm excited. I will see you there. I hope to be there as media again.
Great. Wonderful.
We're waiting to hear. We're waiting. We have never said anything yet. We just know that they're the 20th.
Lisa will look forward to saying hi as well.
I love my Lisa.
I know you everybody communicates with her through she does the Instagram.
Yes, she does.
Lisa's who you're and I'm so scattered about everything. I do Twitter.
Yes.
But you know, sometimes it's a couple weeks before I get on.
No, Lisa's great. And Lisa always talks, and she supports my career. I know you do too, but she supports my career, and I love that. But
yes, absolutely.
So we're gonna see her again. But I'll tell you, Lisa, here's Lisa for you. One time, so at the last Emmys, they're coming on the red carpet, and someone was trying to usher them past me, and she said, I'll never forget, she goes, No, we have a relationship with him. So he said it. And the girl was like, The girl walked off and let me talk to you. I mean, I talked to both of you, but I never forget, she said it. She goes, no, we have a relationship with him. And you guys said hi to me, but they were like trying to keep you going. Like, no, he's like, no, stop right here.
No, Lisa's just wonderful. There's just absolutely no question about it. And, you know, she is the maternal spouse of the show now. She's the senior.
I like that.
The senior one of the show at the moment. And no, you know, I would not be anywhere close as successful as I've been without her. So it's
So the big question as we end this, the big question is, obviously you're going to be there. Do you have an outfit picked yet? I have to ask because I last time I came was in a purple suit that everybody loved, so I got to find a new suit myself. Like I got to find.
Oh, that's right. I remember
I had the purple suit. It was very popular. I loved it. So I'm ready for you. So what are you going to do this year? What are you going to do?
Well, you know, my secret is I've worn the same tux for the last 3 or 4 Emmys, so that's my secret.
That's okay. Well, that's a good luck charm then. Okay, got it.
Which I did go out the first time and bought it because I was tired of the old tux. So I had to say, okay, let me update this outfit. So I got a tux with pinstripes and all that. Yeah, I might. Who knows? I might. Maybe. Okay. I was thinking of doing an all white thing, but I don't know. That might be a little too much. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll wear a t-shirt and a pair of shorts.
If you do that, I'm like, oh my God, here's the OG right here. You don't care. And if you won, that would be hilarious. I'd pay to see that. I'd pay to see that. Well, James, my friend, thanks for sharing your time with me today. As always, you're just one of my idols and just a friend. And thank you so much for everything. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate this, James. We have to do this more often. It's been actually much too long, I think. It's been a while.
I agree. I totally agree. And time goes by super fast. It really does.
Tell your teammates that I'm missing them as well. It's always lovely seeing all you guys, but I know you've moved on.
Yes, I have. It's my own realm, but I'm out there hustling, you know that. So but I hope to actually see you guys in person at the Emmys on June 24th, guys. CBS.
Oh, great. That's wonderful.
And for us,
and see, I'll watch this. I'll give you a click.
Yes.
For a like. Yes. I'll give you a like here.
Yes, thank you. I like that. And of course, check and also promote the theater. Go ahead real quick and promote the theater.
The Fremont Center Theater. We're in South Pasadena right now. We're not producing a show right now. It's called Young Stars Theater, and they have been doing wonderful work, and they need your support. And I have to end on a very sad note. Unfortunately, Our Jack Bennett and his wife Gloria have been running this Young Stars Theater for years, and primarily they deal with young actors. That's how we can do it with the new equity rules. The new equity rules made it much too expensive for us to produce, sadly. But with the young actors, they can go ahead and do that. And then occasionally they do shows with older actors, most of whom unfortunately aren't equity. And Jack, we saw him do a show on a Friday night, and a week later he passed away after doing The Music Man. And it was very sad. And we spent the week going to services and ceremonies for him, and very popular people and very well attended, and a lot of really sad children. And but they do exceptional work. They're so invested in these kids. And so please come to the Fremont Center Theater, and go to Young Stars Theater and watch their productions. They will not disappoint.
Yes, we have to support the arts, folks, especially in our young people. There are a lot of schools who've cut out those programs.
Yes,
I'm like, this is really wonderful. It's like we have to urge our schools. I mean, seriously, they've proven that arts and music also can inform math and English and all the other skills that we need in life. It's just, I mean, and there's such young talent ready to be discovered. The future stars are right there. The future stars.
Well, it's ours, and I know you have to go, but
I love this too. Go ahead. I love this too. Go ahead.
Art is so important to every aspect of our lives, and I say this quite often, that there is no society, no culture that's ever existed on the face of the earth that we don't remember their art. We forget all. If they had a stock market 3,000 years ago, we don't know that. We know the art. We always remember the art of that specific culture. That's what lives on. That's what guarantees us immortality. And it's so important. I know a number of people that are scientists. And one thing I always appreciate about scientists is that, at least the ones I know, love art. They love music. They love art. So people in other professions need to gravitate toward art. We were talking about history. And back in the Old West, and I'm a big champion of old Western history. And traveling troops of actors would go to the West, to the old mining towns, and perform. They'd perform Shakespeare mostly. Right. If they forgot a line, that audience would yell it out. Yes. This is what that line is. It was so important to them, so important to their being and how they live their lives. And that's. Art is important to us in that, we need to see the next Netflix movie, but there's so much out there. There's so much out there.
I agree. I completely agree with that. We're the Jameses. We'll see you next time.
Take care, James. Take care.